Obviously, your relationship is over.
Well, that's New York.
Yeah, I guess so.
In New York, the dinner party is your marriage.
Kate, there were some vague people I wanted to dine with. Like, you obviously didn't know
Goldbergs.
about it because...
The Goldbergs wanted...
The Goldbergs. Like, I just obviously brought it up now because I'd expect you to be back by now. It's not like you knew about it. Kate, I'm going to ruin our relationship over this. Obviously. Yes. Fair note, ladies and gentlemen. If your relationship can't stand 2 days extended travel time, maybe your relationship isn't that strong. Just saying.
Yeah.
And if your mom refuses to not stop talking about, like, the Germans she's sexing up or whatever, just hang up on her.
God, this is such a dysfunctional relationship.
So I guess the lecture, and then we have to ask for the wall to open.
Probably.
We kind of got distracted by Dan bitching to glance at the wall.
Oh, yeah.
But we probably can't open it ourselves anymore.
No, probably not.
Dang it, Dan, all we're asking are a few words of encouragement. Maybe a hint or two. Nancy Drew's friends gives her hints in her games, Dan.
I bet Nancy Drew would be a lot more fun than this.
Yeah, actually, sadly it is. You can make a lot more fun of this because it's that much dumber.
See, that's just it, folks. This game is dumber than Nancy Drew. You heard it from an adventure gamer.
Yeah, I played I will admit, I played 7 Nancy Drew games. 5 of which, actually, unfortunately, even more, were worth playing. Only 2 sucked. Though also, with the whole Nancy Drew things, yes, you will learn how to bake a cake. And yes, you will blush, because it is that stupid.
We need to do a Nancy Drew Let's Play after this.
Oh, sure. I have no problem with that.
Do people even know what Nancy Drew is, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean...
there you are, Miss Walker. Good. Take a seat quickly. I'm impatient to start my lesson.
That guy has been sleeping here this whole time.
This is the most popular university ever. The entire university, ladies and gentlemen.
My young friends, a very exciting discovery, unimaginable up until only a few hours ago, has come into my hands and has finally allowed me to complete my study on the mysterious Yukol people. Lights, please.
Is this a puzzle for us?
The Yukols are a people from the far north about whom very little is known. They live far away, very far away, on the frozen borders of Syberia. This distance and the climatic conditions of the region, which are unfavorable to human existence, have limited the size of the Yukol population and kept it out of reach of the scientific world. The handful of slides that follow are actually the only documentation we have in our possession. It was a Russian explorer who made these drawings and took these photographs 100 or so years ago. Today, we owe what we know about the Yukol people and their culture to him.
Yeah, that's all you want.
We know that the origins of the Yukols date back to the last ice age. Curiously, evidence of their presence has been found in Western Europe, and more precisely in the prehistoric caves at the heart of the Alps. This people, it seems, undertook a long migration over centuries towards the far north of the globe. The reasons for this migration are due to the importance of the mammoth in their craft, trade, and culture. They used them for transportation and as beasts of burden. The mammoth brought them meat, skins, fat, and ivory. Man and animal lived in symbiosis. There's no doubt about it. Mammoths started to drift away from the region due to changing climatic conditions, and the Yukos followed them to the north, to the edges of Syberia. Prehistoric cave drawings, identified as Yukol in origin, first led me to the extraordinary hypothesis that the Yukos had managed to domesticate the mammoth. They are, to the best of our knowledge, the only prehistoric people to represent a man riding a mammoth. To today, because of this genuine mammoth skin effigy, identified by myself as an authentic Neolithic object, I can confirm this hypothesis. Yukol forebears managed to tame mammoths.
Man, we better be getting great.
Prehistoric man uses little imagination. He draws what he sees and represents scenes from real life. This familiar day-to-day object is actually a children's toy. As we have seen, Yukol existence was inextricably linked to that of the mammoth. They used its skin for clothing and to make the roofs and walls of their houses. They used the tusks to build the frameworks of their homes, as well as weapons,
mind-numbingly
tools, and
interesting,
jewelry.
Professor.
Curiously, the disappearance of the mammoth 12,000 years ago had no immediate effect on the Yukol's way of life. It seemed that for a long time after, the people maintained their strong bond with the mammoth through the centuries. As incredible as it may seem,
Well, what was worse
the
is they
Yukol
would
people
come,
have
like,
continued
you'd be, like,
right up
fighting
until the
monsters, and
start
they
of
would
this
cut
century
this lecture,
to
like,
feed
randomly.
themselves on mammoth
Like,
meat.
meanwhile,
and
at
to
a nearby
use the
university,
skin for
someone
clothing
gave
and
a
shelter.
lecture on mammoths.
The ivory craftwork industry
And they
is
cut back
still
to us and
flourishing.
like, does magic
It
really
would appear
exist?
that to preserve
Or is it
ancestral
sin?
customs, the Yukols learned how to exploit through the centuries the large number of frozen mammoth carcasses that were perfectly preserved in the ice of the Siberian tundra. They have been able to live mainly off this enormous freezer stock for almost 30 centuries.
What?
As plausible as this explanation may seem, it seems it is not enough for the scientific community who, I will confess, is greatly perplexed by the question. In the absence of acceptable scientific evidence, we have to make do with Yukol shaman artifacts. The research department that I have the honor to represent today lends no credence to the myths and legends that these tribal charlatans peddle. We have to take their stories at face value, mere tales to while away the long Siberian winter. The legend of the Siberian ice ark is a very good example. You are invited to find out for yourselves from the pamphlet that I had passed around to you. This legend would have us believe that today, somewhere on a lost island to the north of Siberia, there are living mammoths still in existence, a sort of hangover from the Ice Age. This small herd has been miraculously preserved for more than 120 centuries by the Yukol's tender care. And the island on which the pachyderms are said to live is called Syberia. My friends, I advise you to resist the temptation you may have to believe in this pish and tish. The island of Syberia is not charted on any map, and the idea that mammoths have survived to the 21st century is an idle scientist's pipe dream. The Yukols were sadly among the first victims of the colonization of continental Siberia led by the Russians in the 20th century. The Kolkhoz and Sovkhoz systems, as well as the exploitation, disdain, and humiliation people had to suffer, marked a definitive break in the Yukol's traditional lifestyle. And since the collapse of the communist regime, the Yukol population finds itself confronted with the same political and social upheavals that other Siberian communities are experiencing. There are two consequences to arise from this. Some Yukols have lost their tribal identity and have integrated into the Russian population. Others, however, have sought long and hard to re-establish links with their ancestral culture that was lost under the Soviet regime. Now, at the start of the 21st century, the last true surviving Yukols have gone to live on the vast territories of their ancestors. Nobody knows today where they live or how they survived. Their very existence would be a matter for speculation if they did not turn up periodically at the tundra's most isolated fur trading posts to exchange mammoth tusks for essential items. There ends my lecture for today. Thank you for being among us today, Miss Walker.
Seriously.
Please make your way to the
What's the best way I
laboratory where
can do
you will
this?
find
I
your
know,
mammoth
an actual
doll. There
fucking
are also
lecture.
photocopies of my lecture should you so require them.
Professor, let me just ask you, what the hell?
Man, it's like Harry Potter meets the Soviet Union. What the fuck?
Soviet Potter. Well, that was very interesting, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. That was not boring at all.
Let's get out of here.
Well, at
As
least
quickly
he
as-
has the right idea.
Yeah, he's been sleeping here the whole time. I still don't know what this Gungola cola powder is for.
Well, anyway, I have to go to the laboratory, get the mammoth doll, and pick up the pamphlet, probably.
First I'll have to ask those guys to open the gate.
No, mammoth laboratory first.
Why Mammoth Laboratory?
Because that doesn't depend on asking those people.
What are we doing here again?
We're picking up our doll and getting the pamphlet, hopefully.